So, here we are. Welcome to this episode of Food for Thought. And in this one, the system you will see in this episode is combination of the best of both worlds. It starts with the Refiner Conche, it ends with a ball mill. Now, the Refiner Conche, it's a really versatile machine. It will take big particles, pieces of nib, pieces of nuts you can put in. It will grind it down to the particle size you want to have. It's really efficient. And also, to the disadvantage a little bit, the noise and the time. I'll explain that later on. First, the machine. You put in the ingredients in here. In there you got rotating blades. And the blades are over a ribbon lining which refines the particles which comes in between the blade and the ribbons. You can see this really easy on the inside. So this is where you have the blades, they rotate. Each particle in between the blades and the ribbon lining is refined. Now, as you can see on the system, if you pull in or out the shaft, you can put more or less pressure on the blades. Of course, if you put on more pressure, you get more refining. If you put less pressure, you get more mixing and conching effect. And this is controlled. In here in the pilot plant, we do it manually in the back. In the industry, of course, this goes automatically. And then you have your recipe for refining and conching, hence the name Refiner Conche. Now, this conching effect comes from the ingredients, dosage area. This is where the air can be sucked in. Through this ventilator, it goes out, which means you have an airflow through the Refiner Conche, and an airflow through the Refiner Conche means it's possible to take out some of the moisture and acid volatiles you do not want to have in your product. So, a versatile machine capable of taking in big particles, even a little bit higher moisture content than normal is not a problem. One of the downsizes we encountered is the batch time. So a batch time of 6 to 10, 12 hours, it's quite normal. Now, to be able to deal with this challenge, we said, okay, let's combine it with a ball mill. Because what we find out is that the Refiner Conche is really good in refining this first part. So from big chunks, sugar particles, 1200, 1500 micron, to bring it down to 80 micron, that's really efficient. Now, if you bring it down to 80 or 50 micron, then you can pump it out into a buffer. Then from the buffer we go to the ball mill, which means if your product is in your buffer, that you can already make your next batch in the Refiner Conche. So then you can combine a batch system to a continuous system. By the time the buffer is empty, the next batch can be pumped in and keep your ball mill running. From the buffer, we go with the pump through the bottom of the ball mill. There it is again. This vessel is filled with metal balls and moved around, and the product is refined over the ball mill going out here. Now, if you take care that your particle size from the MacIntyre is 80, 50 micron, then pump it out. You pump it through the ball mill to get your finest below 25 or 20 micron in one pass. Then you can save on your process time 30 to 50%. That's quite a bit. So from 6 hours to 3 hours, from 10 hours to 5 hours, that's achievable. Of course, depending on the ingredients you put in, but it is possible. Another thing what is possible with this machine, you can use it, or this system, I should say, you can use it for creams, fillings, compounds, premium compounds, but also for chocolate, because you have this conching effect here. The workhorse from the MacIntyre is capable of dealing with fat contents of 24-25%, which gives you a lot of shear, a lot of conching effect. Before you pump it out, you need to fill it up with fat up to the fat percentage of 30%, and from there you can pump it through the ball mill and get your refining in a much more effective way. So, combination of both worlds, the really versatile machine from MacIntyre, and the last part for the grinding is done by a ball mill, which is much more efficient on that end of the reduction in particle size. Now, I hope I made it clear here in the pilot plant. Of course, we will see somewhere coming out the industrial sizes where you can have up to 5-ton batches here and where you can have your W86 ball mill going to 30 minutes to 45 minutes for the final refining. Thank you very much for this episode and hope to see you next time.